So I have another few weird stories to talk about, especially that just happened yesterday, right? So there's a phrase in Japan. It's called oyakodon. Oyakodon, right? It's like a food, right? And like I heard about it from a friend the first time I was in Japan, and it's when you fuck the mom and the daughter, cause chicken and the egg, if you get it right. And I've always said before in life, one of the weirdest things is if you go out and you actually do a lot of stuff, and just even if stuff you've seen in porno, whatever, a lot of stuff must have come from somewhere that these weird situations happen in real life, right? So I had a oyakodon kind of situation last night, right? So I'm gonna tell a couple of weird stories. So, dude, I got on the train, and of course, I put the stories on Instagram, some of them, so I guess you'd have to watch it because I was trying to record some of it. So, I got on the train yesterday, right? And maybe it was karma because earlier in the day, I had saw this grandma walking, and she was having trouble walking. And I remember I walked past her, and I'm like, oh, fuck, man. And I look back and I'm like, is no one going to fucking help this grandma? So then I ran back and I tried to help her. And I'm like, are you okay? Do you need some help? And she's like, no, 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 I'm okay. And I looked at her. I'm like, are you sure, dude? You look like a gust of wind is about to blow you over. But she's like, no, no. So whatever. Anyway. So she didn't want my fucking help anyway. But anyway. So then I get on the train and I'm like, oh, God, I need to stop being so nice because I'm thinking about that one girl, about to fuck that one girl. And then I asked if she was okay or not, and she started crying. And I was like, I really need to bust this nut. I need to stop being so nice, but I'm poisoned, right? So this girl gets on the train, and she's all wobbly and everything like that. And I'm like, I'll ask if she's okay. So I go over to her, right? And I'm like, are you okay? Like, daijoubu, right? And she's like, daijoubu, right? And then she turns around and she looks at me and like, boom, deer in headlights, dude. And she's like, oh my God, dude, right? And then she and her mom, and then she's with like a couple other girls, and I guess one girl ended up being her mom. And dude, basically, long story short, dude, they're like all over me, dude, asking if I want to start a family with them. They asked me to like come back to Fuchu with them, get married, start a family, do all this kind of stuff with them. And usually like the other people on the train were like giving them like a lot of like nasty looks. And the weird thing is though, I don't think they were necessarily giving them nasty looks because again, Japan is so do whatever it feels like as long as you don't hurt somebody, right? It was just that they were like being too loud, which is, if you get what I'm saying, like there's like a shh, just a little bit more down. Anyway, the daughter was, I was like, the daughter actually had kind of like a nice body. And I was thinking about, I was like, dude, well, because it's almost like a jam-packed train, right? So I could have, she was like feeling my muscles and they're like feeling my body and everything. Like, oh, kimochi. And they're like, nice buddy. And I was like, oh my God, dude. Like, what a fucking situation this is becoming. And I was thinking about pulling her in close. I'm like, man, am I going to do this? I'm like, just pull off the mask, right? Because there's even a phrase in Japan right now because, people already wore masks all the time anyway. But now with Corona, it's even worse. So there's a term called like mask sagi, right? So like mask fraud, like, girls that just wear their masks to hide themselves, you know what I mean? Because lots of girls can have like pretty eyes, right? But so anyway, I was like, just take off your mask a little bit. So I was just thinking about that. Let me see if I'm gonna like do something, right? And eventually, she was just so hammered. She eventually started trying to like bite me on the train. Like, I don't know. She like took off her mask. She's like, to me on the train, but she took off the mask, and I was like, oh, it's over. Oh, it's over. I was like, oh, fuck. So we didn't do anything, but I want to finish that story with something funny that, so when I said, no, I won't go back, they're like, well, do you want to do like, we can all do karaoke together. And something funny that you can see that anime is so part of the culture in every kind of way. They were talking, even the mom was talking about us going and singing One Piece songs. And they're like, do you know One Piece? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, we can sing One Piece songs together. I know what One Piece is, but I've never, I don't know any fucking One Piece song, but the mom knew it. Isn't that crazy? And so then I was kind of trying to be a little, the mom was really like laughing too, because then I'm like, I know older songs. I'm like, I'm old, right? And so then I was like, Itoshi sato, setsuna sato, kokoro. She's like, ah, mom. And then they started laughing, and they're like, that Japanese laugh. Oh no, we need to be quiet. Anyway, point is, from that story, you can see that, yeah, people really, it is a thing. People probably do go back home and they fuck the mom and the daughter at the same time. Would not be surprised. Final story that I'll leave with this. I was leaving a building, right? And this group of sort of like punk kind of kids, I guess emo kind of kids maybe, came up to me and they're like, oh, hey, and and broken English, like, hey, our friend wants to fight you. We've seen you around. He wants to fight you, whatever they said. It was like broken English. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, come here. I'm like, oh, God, no, what? Someone wants to fight me? They see me around like, you're very strong. He wants to fight you. And this dude comes out, dude. And I got to say, he was actually, I would say, a lot of Japanese guys, they're not like masculine attractive kind of. They're not like handsome in a masculine, like handsome kind of way. They're more kind of like pretty boys more so if I see a Japanese guy that's good looking, let's say, I'm like, oh, that's like a pretty boy kind of good looking guy. This guy came out and dude, he was like masculine good looking. He looked like, God, he could have been a Yakuza guy. Who knows? He did not look like a stereotypical Japanese guy. He looked like a guy you would see in an anime that is like the tough punk, actually good looking, sexually attractive. I could see a lot of girls wanting to fuck this guy. He was like strong. He had a very strong jaw. He was a good looking dude, probably in any country, but like masculine, like rare for Japanese, the way he looked, and he was big and he was muscly. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want to fight. Like, what's going on? And then I was like, oh shit, how do I even address this guy? Because I was trying to be like, I started to stutter. I'm like, oh my God, this dude's actually pretty buff, and he's got all these like underlings around him, dude. And I was like, oh shit, do I say Kimi, Omae? Because I was like, dude, I was actually worried because there's so many dudes like circled around me and him like staring me down. I'm like, oh shit, how do I say you are stronger than me? Don't worry, you would win. I was like, oh shit, do I say Omae, Kimi, Anata? Because I was confused because he was actually, again, most guys in Japan, you know what I mean? When I wear the boots, I'm 6'1", right? You know what I mean? I'm 5'11" out of bed, but even that is, I tower over most people here, right? Just being 6'1", the majority of people, you are much taller. And he was like as big as me. He was a pretty big dude, but buff too. Anyway, and he's like, well, what about just like an arm wrestling match? And I'm like, an arm wrestling match, dude? Are you serious? And I'm like, don't worry, you win. No. And he's like, yeah. He was just like, yeah, I am stronger. He just kind of like walked away. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Anyway, that's a story from last night. I actually did have one other guy tried to fight me too, or he wanted to fight me. He got on a bike and I just saw this guy barreling towards me, but he was like a small dude. I'm like, what is this dude doing? And boom, he just ran into me and like shoulder checked me. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then he pedaled his bike away. Part of me thinks it would have been funny if I would have like then threw my shoulder into him and knocked him off the bike, but with my luck, he actually probably would have like fell off the bike, hurt himself, and then I would have gone to jail or some shit, right? But anyway, that's my story for the day. The end.